All right, welcome back into another One Piece video. Today, I'm not alone. We got the fellow State Zero teammate, Lexi. Hey, what's up?
What's up, everyone?
Hey,
Happy to be here.
there's no video. It's just this beautiful voice in the background. You might know him or seen him from the last Oden video, the first place Oden video that got a bunch of views for whatever reason. But today we're gonna talk about some leaders, and this is I told Lexi that there's a lot of lists here, but one we have the circuit going on. If you haven't registered for that or haven't participated in that, it's a free circuit that a Romance Dawn box is being given out for the winner after 4 different tournaments and getting the most points. I would like to talk about the leaders in the set and in correlation to that, and as well as all of the treasure tournaments next month. It's gonna be a really fun time. So now we have all of the leaders here, and how I broke it down is different tiers of best, better, good, average, and bad. Only because I don't really like to stick to the traditional S to F tier or like whatever broken tier. We're just going to talk through all of these in the spectrum of it's set 1, and there's a lot of good stuff out there, and Alexis believes that there are bad stuff, so that's why there's a bad tier in all caps. We're going to start with Kid. Personally, okay, here's the thing. Right up here, baby. Right up here. Kid's amazing. It's shown up in a lot of different tournaments. It has matchups all across the board. Pretty much every single deck that goes against it, you can win against. But there's a little bit of pilot, not so much pilot. I think this is more of a forgiving deck because the leader is a win con in itself, right? You can just literally win because of the leader at any time. But at the same time, you can't be reliant on that throughout the entire game. So you have to make sure to understand how to control the board and control your the player you're playing against in order to win. But what do you think about Kid?
Absolutely. I would also put it in best just because the card pool itself, it utilizes literally the best cards that Green has to offer without any restrictions. So number one, you have to deal with those cards. Like you got the probably what in my opinion is the best card of the game is the Useless Kid, the 8 cost. And then the 7 cost is just like a really big defensive wall. And on top of that is one of those decks that has so many cards in hand at all times for some reason. I don't know how it happens. It just happens. And obviously, if they put you down into 1, that's their kill range. So that's pretty much game afterwards. So I really believe this is probably the best overall deck in terms of defense and attack for sure.
For sure, yeah. It takes a little bit of piloting, take a little bit of practice to get good at every single matchup, but you kind of get rewarded in doing that. So that's that. Hopefully people agree with that. But now we have Blue Crocodile. You can start with this one. I'll probably agree with you.
Right. So it's one of those decks that I don't feel like it has a card pool enough to support it, and its effect is mediocre at best, just because you got a -4 done, which you don't get back as fast as like any other purple deck can. And on top of that, it hits a 5 cost, and which I believe it's not enough. It will if it would have been 6. Now we're talking of a better effect, but a 5 cost is typically cards that you don't want to put in your opponent's hand. Say you have the Law, the Green Law, you have the Red Luffy. So all those cards are better out the field, but in a different method than putting them back in their hands just because of the value.
Yeah.
So in my opinion, it will be average at best.
I'm gonna agree with you on that one. I think when you look at Croc, you're probably still gonna look at Doffy, and Doffy is just a better blue leader if you are gonna be playing blue. And as you can tell in the leader pool, like if we just put everything together on a color orientation, you really just have these 2 right now. I think set 2 will introduce I think 2 or 3 more blue leaders, I believe. But as it stands right now for set 1, I'm completely agreeing with you where you probably should be playing Doffy. It's a little bit more combo and like a lot more thought in between it. But like this, just playing Crocodile, again, where it comes to rewarding, it doesn't feel that great. So I totally agree.
Yeah, right.
Now Luffy, I think he's a little underrated. You know, every single time I lose against Luffy, I'm like, it's not too bad. But also, when I'm playing Zoro or I'm playing Law or whatever, or even Kid, I'm like, Luffy's not that great. So like, I think he's like right in between here, or even just that better. I think he just utilizes everything that has the use rested Dawn effects the best way. He uses one drop Nami the best way. He uses the Sanji the best way, the Luffy the best way. It's just so catered towards him, and just having the Straw Hat trait is really good because that's probably going to be supported. It's like the same trait in Dragon Ball, right? It's always going to be supported throughout the game. So I think right now, I think that's kind of where he is, and that's how I feel about him.
Honestly, I would make the argument that it could be on top of the best, just because it can hit better curves than Zoro can.
That's true.
It doesn't have the same ability that Zoro does. That Zoro, and it feels kind of bad because they can even kill you with like a one cost Nami just because they can power it up.
Yep.
Yet Luffy does have more defense than Zoro does. So a good Luffy list, in my opinion, has about 8 blockers, and they could obviously utilize Shanks the best as well. But then again, I would say this is way less forgiving than Eustace Kid is. So I would agree. There could be an argument for best, but better would be the place to be at. Just for that same reason, that it's a strong deck, but it's a lot of RNG as well.
Yeah, I can see that. I can see that. It plays all the good red stuff, obviously, and has access to rush. But I think as soon as you said it, as far as having a better curve, I do believe and agree with that. Just sort of plays cards better and more efficiently than some other decks. So totally. Now Uda, another red leader. I don't really have too much experience with it. I was talking about it before, but I haven't played against it a handful of times. I know you played it. I just by playing against it, it's probably in that average tier. But what do you think?
Well, it's interesting because one of the criteria that I typically think of myself was like, what does a good leader do? And there's some that arguably they're like a vanilla leader unto a certain point. Well, that's not the case with Uta. You can actually power up a lot of those lower cost battle cards. And it's it's typically the same. You're just cheating out one Dawn, so it allows you to do more stuff with your Dawn. However, it's not as efficient at what it does. So I would say average is fine, just because the red card pool is pretty strong. But it's a deck that will be just that, like a red card pool deck, toolboxy without any end really. So. Yeah, average. Definitely average.
I'm thinking with that too. I think, as you're saying, I think it just kind of ties to some of the film stuff, and that they just kind of made it as a promo type thing, which is fine. It's no big deal in that one. Not every deck should be amazing or competitive, but I think what it comes down to, where you kind of do that one or two thing where Luffy and Zoro and Law do a bunch of other stuff. I feel like you have like such a wide range, but yeah.
The one thing though to take away from Uta, there's like a good learning experience from everything. Since it kind of forced you to play vanillas, you wouldn't realize how strong like a 5-cost vanilla is to actually remove, because those are like 7Ks. It takes a while, or it takes a lot of effort to take them away. So that's the one good thing, which just like it kind of translates better on our other decks. And I think we saw it yesterday the Circuit Series, that someone played a vanilla and they could not take that vanilla off that
dude, 5/7s. I'm telling you, 5/7s is the key, man. It's the truth.
Absolutely.
Yeah, no, totally. I get that. No, I hope there is more support for her moving forward, but we'll see as time goes on. But for set 1, definitely for there. Now Zoro. So Zoro, there's a lot of mixed opinions about Zoro. Him and Kid were the first decks I learned how to play on. Well, as well as Law, but like him and Kid are like the ones I played on. As soon as I saw both of them, I was like, it really translated to like other card games. It translated to more of an aggro approach as well, which is always good for a new card game and like people figuring out the format. But the thing is that like for me, seeing on what am I saying? Oceanside. What's the other side of the world? What's the other side of not Asia? Just I guess Asia, whatever. Where it's already out for a few months compared to us. It's already in set 1 or set 2. Obviously, we see better support in set 2, and when we look at set 1 as a format, I think Zoro has been one of the best decks in the format as well. I think that's going to translate in February too. I think Zoro's going to easily top, and there should be no surprise that Zoro will top. That's how I feel
No,
about it right now.
I would agree with you. However, there's one particular thing that it's to take into consideration.
Hmm.
And remember, I don't know if you ever saw that post that I made in the main Facebook group, or I don't know if it's official now. Yet I always see like multiple Soros in the room. I will dare to say that out of a 16 people tournament, almost half of them are going to be Soros, but not all of them top or not all of them win.
Yeah,
It's kind of interesting because I don't know what exactly makes it, or like I definitely don't think it's the deck list, because there's
yeah.
multiple ways of running Zoro. Like a
Hmm.
lot of people play the 2 cost vanillas, a lot of people don't like those, so they just go
All
some
rush
play
or yeah,
blockers,
blockers.
some
Yeah.
yep,
Mm.
and some don't. So it's just multiple ways to go about it. But I think it also comes down that playing aggro in this game is quite hard, just because Zoro, no doubt, like turns 1 to 5 is just pure gas, but afterwards, like
Hmm.
they kind of run out of it, and they have a harder time just closing down the game, in my opinion, of course.
Yeah. No,
Um,
I can see that. I
mhm.
think it is a little bit more like the first like 3 turns against Zoro, or maybe even 4. As you go through the Donna, it definitely is a little bit of a challenge to defend against it. But yeah, I totally agree. I can see that for sure.
Yeah.
Where do you want it then? Knowing all
I
that.
there's no doubt that it's best for sure.
Okay.
I do
Okay.
think it's one of the best, just because it also keeps in check, in my opinion, one of the better decks too, which is
Uh,
Kaido, that we haven't gotten into it.
yeah. Yeah.
Yes, yeah, that we skipped it for some reason, even though we said we
Whoop,
were doing
whoops.
starters first.
Whoops. I put it in all the colors. Hey, listen, it's Kaido. Probably up there too, honestly. I think this is kind of like the triangle of best, in my opinion.
Uh, mm-hmm.
This is just
I
like it goes like this, right? It goes like this. Maybe even like in the between, this beats
oof,
this type
yeah.
thing. But
We'll talk about yep. Mm-hmm. Yeah, we'll
here,
talk about him in a little bit, but yeah.
here's what
Um,
here's what I'll say real quick about Kaido. There's a video that I'm trying to work on. I talked to Egg about it, where on stream, where I was like, I really suck at Kaido, but I couldn't figure it out. So I took some time to figure out like, why do I suck at Kaido? And Kaido requires a certain play style to me. And once you figure out that play style and you figure out the card pool, you really read out the cards and how to really manage your Don. It is a really good deck that has all the answers. It just kind of mows over, especially if you high roll. But that's how I feel about it. I think that's why it should be up there.
Absolutely. I think it's one of those decks that the card support for, specifically for the animal animal pirates, I think that's what animal beast
Yeah, yeah,
pirates, I
yeah.
can say it.
Hmm.
It's just way too strong. Plus that, your leaders of vanilla for the most part, until it doesn't have to be, until it's like it's a game ending ability that is just utilized at the key moment. And I think that's the thing with Kaido. Everything's like a key moment interaction that's gonna win you the game.
Yeah.
Um, I think the perfect match to see how good a Kaido player should be, or like piloted, is the Japan preliminary. It was
Mm.
actually a final against Luffy and Kaido, and that itself was just like he 10 drop him. Then like turns after he took 1 life from their leader, and then he just like killed him in 1 turn. It was kind of amazing to see, but that itself just showed you how powerful the deck is to answer higher threats. Obviously, well, once we talk about Law, the whole reason why I don't feel confident with Law is just because
It's because
Kaido
of
exists.
Kaido. Yeah, it's because of
Yep.
Kaido. I
Hmm.
think I think what it comes down to, like, these are the most played, but then you run into this, and it's just like, as Law, it just feels bad when Kaido sees everything. Like, I
Yep.
think Law can hold his own against these two decks,
Hmm.
Kaido and, or not Kaido, Kid and Zoro, and of course, like, everything else. It just depends on how they draw. But it just, like, I feel like Law just needs everything to go right, at least like for 2 or 3 turns. When it goes wrong, it just feels a little weird to play as a different deck, because you really want to get to that 5, and sometimes it just doesn't happen. But yeah, totally, I totally agree with the Kaido Law, and I think
Hmm.
that's probably where he needs to be. I think he needs to be right by Luffy.
Yeah, and that's it. I even though for as any other card game, we can say it's pilot dependent. However, the one thing that a bad Kaido player can do just to beat Law is literally play Kings and play the Kaidos, and he wouldn't even know how he won that game, but he'll win that game anyway.
I mean, we did see that in the circuit. Like he back to back did 2 7-drop Kaidos or Kings, and then cleared the board, and he just couldn't come back from that. So, I mean, we have seen that for sure.
Yeah, correct. That is just a lot of momentum that it loses. So, and then again, it goes like your ability is good. It's a fantastic ability, but
yeah,
like if you're not able to proc it off and you're just playing with a vanilla leader the most of the game, then it's not, it's no longer worth it, in my opinion.
No, totally. Yeah, it just doesn't feel good. That's all it is. So, I love Law, but that's exactly where it should be, and we'll see if it performs well going to set 2 and 3. But Luffy, so the red green Luffy, I don't have as much experience. I played, as soon as I played red Luffy, I played green Luffy or red green Luffy, and I don't know. It's okay. I think it's okay. I think it's good. That's it. It's like good.
Yeah.
Like good.
It's I would put it in good too. Jonathan, he built a deck around it, and he actually liked it a lot. He said, for example, you can use Nico Robin twice in a turn.
Yeah.
But it's 4 Dawn. That's a little too much just for, if I don't last recall the restriction, it's a 5 cost, which at that point, it's kind of, I'd rather build board than just swing twice.
Yeah.
Yet, it has all the other restrictions. But again, I guess like the card pool is good enough to justify it, put it in good. However, I don't think like better or best by any means.
I mean, red and green is so good as far as the card pool goes, right? I think that's a big selling point for multicolored Luffy. I think the other thing is like there are cool things that you can do where you could just build out into like an early game with rush and search pieces, and then a late game you can just use all the supernova slash just law. Really, it's just gonna be law. Where you just restand the law, swing 7Ks, probably 3 times if you have enough Dawn. Because if you have 9 Dawn, you can law swing with 7K. Play the other law, restand it, swing, and then play the Luffy effect, right? So it's just cool stuff like that you can do, but it's really situational. Like you said, I think it's okay. All right.
Definitely. Yeah,
hey,
definitely.
Speaking of, hey, it's your favorite leader.
Okay, it actually is my favorite leader for sure.
Yeah. I'm gonna leave you. I'm gonna leave this to you. We're in the sea of other leaders.
Oh man.
And where Oden sits, where do you think?
Okay, I'm kind of biased. I dare to say I would put it even in the last spot of better or the high spot of good. Okay. There's something really, really key about Oden that people don't realize, which is the only fact that does have a lot of cards that are locked to him. So the whole reason why to play this leader is for cards like the Denjiro and the Kinemon that are locked to to his tag. So that itself, those cards are very strong. Not a lot of people know about them, which is the interesting part. But you know how we said how for example, Eustace Kid dual attack, or not dual attack, or technically because I think dual attack is another tag over here, right? Or attacking twice with the same card is pretty strong, which Kinemon allows you to attack twice with the same card.
Yeah.
On top of that, you can curve a little bit better than Eustace Kid can. So, for example, you can play your 8-cost Kid while you have 8 on, restand 2 with your leader ability, and then be able to activate the Eustace Kid effect. So all that is just like small key things that might win you the game. So I'm very lenient. That is probably on the lower part of better.
Okay.
Like there is reason, there's a lot of leaders, for example, as we established with Crocodile. It's like, why would you play Crocodile when you can play Doffy? And Oden does have like a why, so that's just the way that I see it, of course. And I really do like the support that it has so far.
Okay. For sure. No, I can see that. I trust your judgment. I played Oden. I think we talked about it right before you went to go take that local or that event. I think it's fun. It reminds you of Soul Striker and DBS, right? And I think it opens up, just like you were saying, the very small minute types of plays where you can play more versus another. But do you trade that off for Law to resand and do different plays? Do you trade that off for Kid where you can swing twice and win the game literally? It's just those type of things. Plus, you're locked into the Wino Country kind of stuff. So yeah, hopefully we can have more cards like the SR Oden to specify, so that way we can have some more support. I think that'd be really cool.
Yeah, set two, baby, set two.
Yeah, and another archetype based deck is Doffy. I
Mm.
I think it's good, but like, I think he just kind of like, if you don't know how to play against Doffy, I think it can be one of the most annoying matchups you can do or you can play against.
Mm.
I also think that it is better than average,
Mm-hmm.
and that's it. That's it.
Interesting.
That's all I can say. If you think that he is sort of average, like right on, like that's the thing. Like you're saying is as good as Croc and or worse than them. So I'm curious to hear what you're saying or what you think.
Oh no, well, no. Don't you think like going 33-0 in a local or
Oh,
something is proof?
okay, okay, yeah. Here we go. There it is.
Okay,
I forgot about that. I
so
forgot about that. Yeah.
now there's, you know, it's kind of interesting because yesterday I think someone got third place in the circuit, right?
Yeah, he did. He did.
With
Yep.
Doffy, and
Yeah, he did.
there was a lot for some reason there was unnecessary a lot of Doffys in that tournament.
There's like
Yet I really
four
do
or
think
five. Yeah.
it is like one of those decks that I don't like it just because it hasn't been good to me, but a lot of people seem to do really good about it.
Yeah.
All jokes aside, like really, I do think people do really good about it, and it's just it's gonna be one of those that I'm sure it's gonna have like a couple spots in the treasure cup as its tops, and it's gonna be pretty high up there, like eight, top eight or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
It's just the battle cards that it plays; they're pretty good, and then you're not you're spending lawn to attack, which is always great. It attacks at 7K, which we all already like. Seems like the community
That's it.
agree
That's
that
it.
that
Yeah.
is the spot. And plus, you're just wasting one. I mean, spending one to cheat a forecast. I think that is pretty good. And on top of that, you also keep your hand.
Mm-hmm.
So there's a lot of reasons why it's really, really good. Now I don't know if if it's just struggles to close down games. It seems to be one of the main like things that it has because its biggest attacker is going to be the Meathawk, which I mean, and it is a nine cost like what it like
It's a
nine
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 cost. It's
thousand,
a
right?
9,009 cost. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean it's strong enough, but I don't know. I don't know how I feel with that. I would feel comfortable in better.
Right
Now I
there.
don't know if it'll take the first spot in better. Yeah,
Right.
yeah,
Right there.
yeah. I'm biased with
Right there.
Luffy.
Yeah. Right there. Then the more I
Mhm.
think about it, I think it's good. It has access to a lot of like cool things that can be cheated out. I think that's you really don't see that in any other deck, right?
Mm,
You really kind of like when you think about it. I'm really trying to think like other than law, like this deck is the only thing that can cheat out consistently and like pretty much every single turn basically. And I think also it's on the level of Kaido of what type of player there it is. Like if someone wants to play blue and animated about playing blue, they have to have that kind of play style and also have to dedicate more time to learning the deck. Because if you don't, then
absolutely, yeah.
I just like you said, it just won't be kind to you. So okay, I'm cool with this. And I do agree. I
Hmm.
think it's gonna be in the treasure cup for sure. Hey, there you
Hmm.
go. And then there you go.
There you go.
And there you go. No. I mean,
I
this
don't.
I don't have experience with it.
No,
You do.
yeah,
I can't say.
yeah. No, I actually I would probably well. Okay, let's go one by one. King,
Okay,
absolutely
it's
bad.
bad. It
Let's just
doesn't
leave
feel.
it at that.
It's like why? Yeah, I
It
actually
doesn't
like
even have
Kaido.
synergy.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it
yeah.
doesn't. It doesn't.
It's just weird to me because it doesn't have synergy. If most of the better like green, purple cards that you play, they all minus, and at that point it's just minuses everything the board at. It doesn't have synergy. I absolutely dislike this leader, and I think I
Hmm.
sent you a deck list yesterday, and it's just
Yeah, that was a
yeah,
meme. Yeah, that was a meme.
it's terrible. It really is terrible. Um, Now when we cut to the other Kaido, the Burple, like everyone call it.
Yeah,
It's cute. Yeah,
yeah,
I like it because it can technically it should be ramping better
it
than the
should.
other one.
Yeah. But
but it
people can
just
play
doesn't seem
again.
to work.
People can play around that. That's the issue, though. That's the moment. The three most annoying things, right? I played this for about a week, and I was like, okay, 4 life is more important than or more annoying than I realize. Having 4 life, that
Mm-hmm.
is. Um,
Mm-hmm.
the second thing is that people can play around it, as in not playing characters for like the first 2 Dawn ramps, and once you get to that like 5 or 6 Dawn ramp, it doesn't really matter as far as the leader effect. The only thing that matters is that you're swinging over 6K, which is kind of like a whatever um Dawn,
Mm-hmm.
and you really want to pump it up to 7. And when you pump it up to 7, then you're left with 2 less Dawn to use in order to ramp 1. Which majority of the time, when you feel comfortable when actually doing that, you could be at a higher Dawn, which doesn't make any sense. So the only thing that you're really getting back is the free Dawn for the minus effects, which is okay. Like when you Who's Who, you get a free Dawn back. When you King 7, you get 1 Dawn back out of the 2. Is those type of things that are cool, but burning a life is better. That's just,
Absolutely. I was gonna
that's
say.
just
I was
like,
literally gonna say all
yeah.
of that sounds cute, but you know what sounds cuter? Burning
It's
alive.
Kaido.
Absolutely.
It's purple Kaido. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yep.
But
Hmm.
yeah, man, that's how I feel about that. I'm gonna crack the code on this. Don't worry, we'll come back to that. It'll come back into the higher half of the tier list. And
Hmm.
then purple Croc, the last one. So we also
Yeah.
saw
Yeah.
what's his face pilot it and
Yeah. Jonathan.
yep, and
Yeah.
I won the keys tournament with it.
Hmm.
And it was really cool deck list, a lot of cool stuff. And it was also what should we call it? Coded as a hand destruction deck, but not really. So,
Hmm.
what
So
what are your
that's
thoughts?
the it was the interesting part because when I was talking to him, going back and forth of like what is gonna be the end, like the end place of this, like how are we gonna win? The deck can survive. That's one of the good things about it that I really like that it operates so well in a 4 card, fourth hand card hand.
Mhm.
It's able to survive way much more than people actually think it is. Um, I like that a lot, honestly. However, the blue cards, they're aside from Desert Espada, everything else is whatever. And then even for example, that Baroque Swords card that that's an extra card
The
that searches for something like
oh
similarly to the Savardi one,
yeah, yeah.
like that can miss. It's kind of wild because it's just not the best support. If we had a better card, like a blue card event card pool, then I'm game, you know.
Uh
But
huh.
everything else is just mediocre at least. Even like Love Beam, you have to be at 3 cards in hand, which is not, you at that point it kind of feels like you're losing more than you're winning.
Yeah,
And then it's just once per turn. So for example, Zoro just eats that deck bad, like really, really bad.
yeah.
Um, so yeah, actually, when I played it, I got killed by Anami. So that's my story. That's my
Well,
story about it.
can you
Mhm.
do?
That's true, but I mean, it is a very interesting deck, and you do a lot of stuff. But that's the one thing that I like about this deck. It's just you're constantly interacting, checking out, and then Crocodile. It just shows the power of like 7 cost Crocodile would vanish. That card's amazing. Like
Yeah, that card's
it's
cool. That card's really good.
yeah. But again, it's just good at best. It's just a fun time for sure. I don't think it can win you an event. I don't know how Jonathan did it, so kudos to him.
Well, all right. Are you cool with good, or do you want to put it higher or lower?
I would put it in good. I just think
Okay.
it's like a funner time and I could actually win more than the other Crocodile and in Utah for sure. But
Yeah.
I don't think from there on out, the other leaders are just way better.
Okay. Sounds good. I think this is a good list. Some people might put this down here, but hey, you're here,
But
so
not me.
it's
But
not.
not
Yeah,
me.
it's not gonna happen, baby. It's not gonna happen. So yeah, that is it. Talked a good amount, and if anything, let us know in the comments below what you think as far as our list, and as well as if you want to do it, I'll put the link in the description below, and you can share yours in our Discord because I don't think the links work. Any last thoughts, Alexis, if you want?
No, I really want to hear what people think. I want to see if they actually think that this is like the trinity of best. If
Yeah.
there's any arguments of putting Doffy higher, and the ones that I would argue, Doffy and Luffy, we could make the argument of putting higher or better, depending on who you ask.
Yeah.
Higher or better? My bad. Better or worse? But that's what I want to hear. That's what I actually want to hear.
Better or best? Yeah. I got you.
Better
Yeah.
or best?
Yeah. Definitely let us know in the comments below. Check out Alexis as well on his channel. I don't know the last time he posted though, so maybe.
I've been busy, man. I've been busy.
You'll check him out here. You'll check him out here on the Discord. Yeah. We'll see you in the next one.